So today we're making bread, okay? So you're going to learn the basic skills in making bread, okay? And learn a bit more about the ingredients that I'm using, okay? So I've got here strong flour, 250 grams of strong flour. Will help you with measuring next week. 250 grams strong flour, not plain, not self-rising flour, strong flour. Okay, I've got a teaspoon of sugar. Okay, and I'm going to explain why I need the sugar in the bread. The sugar is basically food for the yeast. Okay, so I'm going to be using a teaspoon of yeast as well. Yeast is a type of bacteria, but it's an edible bacteria. And the yeast is responsible for allowing the bread to have a nice texture and for the bread to rise. Okay, the food for the yeast is the sugar. Okay, so yeast need different conditions for it to work or function or activate properly. So it's the food, it needs moisture, it needs a bit of warmth, and it needs a bit of time. Okay, I'm adding my yeast in. Another ingredient is my sugar. The recipe asks for 1 teaspoon, but I think one teaspoon is a bit too much. Salt, did I say sugar? Sorry, salt. I've added the sugar already. So salt, I've used half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, that's all my dried ingredients mixed in. So strong flour, salt, sugar, and my fast-acting dried yeast. Mix everything together. Then I'm going to add a bit of oil, olive oil. Okay, that helps with the texture of the bread dough. Okay, roughly a tablespoon of olive oil. Mix this in again. Okay, so all my ingredients are evenly distributed. And then I've got some water. You'll need between 140 and 150 milliliters of water. And it's important that you measure accurately. How do we measure using a measuring jug? We're not measuring and looking down on the measurement on the jug. We need to keep it on a flat surface, on your work surface, and we need to look at eye level, and then you should be getting your reading, okay? Not looking down or looking up, eye level, okay? And it's important next week when you're making the bread not to add the water all at once, okay? So we're going to add gradually, just in case the measurement is not totally accurate, okay? Or you may not need all of the water. So I'm going to add quite a bit first and then see how it responds. And you need warm water, did I stress that? Not cold, okay? If it's too cold, the yeast won't activate. And if the water is too hot, it's going to kill the yeast. So slightly warm, just above room temperature, because it's coming to winter. It's a bit cold, just above room temperature. So not too hot, not too cold. Okay. Can you see I'm adding the water gradually? Because I may not need all of it. I think I may need, kneading as I'm going along. And I'm using one hand at this stage. Don't need to put both hands in the mixture. Yeah, please don't respond to that sound. Okay, it's just a sound from the... Need my dough to be nice and soft. So I'm not pouring all of that water in. I'm just using my hands, placing my hand inside to just get a bit wet and then adding it to the dough. Okay, that's my bread dough almost done. Okay, at this stage you need nice clean bowl. You see my bowl is nice and clean almost. Okay, but all my dried ingredients have been mixed in. All the flour is within the dough at this point, none hanging around. Okay, my surface is clean because I cleaned it before, so I'm going to put my bread dough straight onto my surface. Okay, don't need these anymore, so I can put these in the sink as well. Okay, so I'm left with that. I need a bit of flour on my surface, not too much at this point. I'm going to have hold a bit there, and then sprinkle a bit here, because I need to knead this for a while. Okay? You will have to knead for about 10 minutes next week. I'm not going to necessarily knead for 10 minutes right now because it's a demonstration. Okay, so I'll knead for a few minutes, but bear in mind that you will need to knead your dough. Need to knead. How do we spell knead? The knead that I'm doing now? Knead in the process? Yes, Rodrigo?
K-N-E-A-D.
Well done. Yeah, K-N-E-A-D. So I'm using the palm of my hands mainly, and I'm pressing. Okay, both hands. Okay. And at this stage next week, you're going to be working in 3. So what I would suggest is that you separate the dough into 3 pieces, and then everyone will have a chance to knead their own. Okay. Doesn't look that big now, but it will rise, because remember, what's the ingredient that's going to allow the dough to rise? Well done. But we need to ensure that we are kneading in order to ensure that it is blended in to the dough correctly, and then it's able to work properly. Okay, during the proofing process. My gloves are coming off. The kneading. And as long as the dough is not sticking to the surface, you do not need to add any more flour. Because if I go and add all of that flour at this point, then my dough is going to start getting a bit tough. Okay, so kneading. And I'm sweating as well. Feel hot. Okay, doing that process. No, it shouldn't hurt. No?
Doesn't. For a while. Doesn't it hurt?
No.
She's strong. Can you see that?
Right. The only thing is that the gloves can keep pulling down a bit. But I'm not going to knead for the whole 10 minutes. Because we've got quite a bit to do in this lesson. As long as you know that you need to knead for about 10 minutes, okay? And that's to help to get a nice texture for your dough, or for your bread at the end, okay? I don't think I'll need that excess flour, so I took out too much. Right. What I'm going to be doing now, I'm happy with that. Or maybe it's just I'm tired and I just want to stop. Right, so I'm just going to divide my dough. I'm going to make shapes. I'm not going to go for any fancy shapes because I can't really make fancy shape. You guys are quite creative when it comes onto this. Well, in the past, we're always very impressed at the different shapes that you guys are able to produce. So I'm going to try and I'm going to do a knot first of all.
What is?
Knot. Like tying a knot. I'm just tying. I'll do that one. Okay. And I've got a lightly greased tray ready. So I'll put that one here. And then I'm going to go for a twist. I'm going for the easiest shape, or the shape I can remember right now. Next week you can choose the shape that you like. Each of you will be able to make 2 from your dough, 2 small ones. I'm going to do a little twist. Last year we had quite a few people producing shape like plats. Just one bread dough with your initial, just being creative. But think about the shape that you'd like to make. I'm just going to do a twist for this one. Just twist this one. If you are doing a plait, then you'd have to get that into 3 bits and then work on your surface. The important thing is with that one, I need to fasten the end, similar to a plait, to ensure that it doesn't come apart. So I'm going to use a bit of water to basically seal both ends together. Okay, that's my second one done. And then I'm gonna go for the last one. See how quick this is?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for a spiral. Is it spiral? Or an S? I'll go for an S instead of a spiral. Or is it S or snake? I can't remember what's the actual shape is called. But you'll see. Put that down there for a little bit because I'm gonna try and get this a bit longer. At this point, when you're working on the surface, you may need to add a bit of flour if you realize that it's sticking. If you need to work directly on the surface, add a bit more flour to it. But as long as the dough is moving freely, you don't have to. Okay? Or I could just make a snake. That looks like a snake head already. The head of a snake. Try and get this little bit thinner. Right. This bit is a bit right, I'm happy with that because I don't want to bore you. Next week you have a chance to go and experiment. And remember, the video is going to be online. Well, on Show My Homework. So you can go and try it at home before next week's lesson. Try at home with parent carers or on your own or with siblings, other family members. Just see? Simple.
That looks like a snail.
Snail?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going that way. Yeah? Done. Yeah? Happy with that? Yeah. Right, at the moment, the yeast hasn't started working yet, okay? Normally when you're making bread, say for example at home, you know when I add the dough all together in the bowl, what we would do if we've got time to allow the yeast to work, to proof, we would cover the dough inside the bowl with a wet tea towel and leave it for about an hour, 40 minutes to an hour, and then it would rise, double in size, and then you would go back and make your shapes. Okay, but because we're working against time and we've only got 1 hour for the lesson, when we put the bread in the oven, we will be putting it at a low temperature. So gas 90 degree or gas mark 1, okay, for about 10 minutes for it to rise. Does that make sense? Yeah? Then after that 10 minutes, we're going to increase it to gas mark 7 or 180. Or for these ovens, I'm going to say 6 because 7 tend to be a bit too high, okay, for these ovens. I'm going to say 6 and then 180 for the electric ones, for the bread to cook at that point. And that will take a further 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Before I put them in the oven, however, I'm going to be putting a bit of oil on top. And this is just to give the sesame seeds that I'm going to be using a chance to stick. Or you can go for a bit of egg wash, egg with milk. And that would add color as well. The egg wash would add color to the bread. But for now, I'm just using a bit of oil and I'm brushing my bread. And I'm going to be adding a bit of sesame seeds, which is optional. You can bring out any other type of seeds if you like to. I don't want any chocolate though. Okay, so no one will be adding anything sweet to their bread. It's a savory product, so nothing sweet. So I don't want anyone telling me, Miss, can I add Nutella or chocolate? Nothing like that. So a bit of sesame seeds going on the tray at the moment. And then the oil is just allowing it to stick. And then I go for that one. Getting carried away here. And then that one. See, because I'm wearing a glove, it's just sticking to the gloves and going on to. Right, that's it. My oven has been preheated. What temperature do I need to put in again?
90
or gas mark 1 for how long?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, well done. Then what do I do again?
You change your gas
6 or 180 for
15 to 20 minutes.
15 to 20 minutes. Well done. A good song because no one put their hand up. So everyone was just singing. Yeah? Hand up next time and then respond. So that's it, okay? Go back to seats, please. Thank you.